Perfect. Okay. So in the previous session, we discussed master slave, right? Okay. To open a try, which is tubes. All right. So this architecture we discussed, right? To achieve. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, it is master branch. Where is our master slave architecture? Okay. All right. We just created a master and two slaves we created, right? Slave one and slave two. And we just installed the plugin, which is the slave setup we have installed, right? Okay, it's master and slave. Perfect. So, and what are the steps we need to follow? First, we need to install the plugin, which is a slave setup plugin, right? And uh, then token we need to create, right? For this token by default will be encrypted. We need to create secret key. Using by secret key we could be able to decrypt the token. So these are the components which we need to do, but so far we have done that Java installation on top of all this slave. We are going to build your Java application. So that's the reason I just deployed Java top of all the slave. And top of master we do have Jenkins, right? So the master, it's going to be distributing the traffic to respective slave. Fine. So do you have any questions? Perfect. Okay, so I can go back and log in into the server, which is slave one, slave two. All right, I just want to log in into this. Let me open my terminal, which is here. So keeper service. Okay, yeah, fine. So it is our master. I just want to log in. It's a search hyphen hi Singapore 3.ping file and EC2 hyphen user @ IP. Yes, so we are into master. I just want to log in into slave as well. Can go with okay, so it is a slave SSH hyphen I Singapore 3.pim file and EC2 hyphen user @ let me copy slave one IP. All right, so here, perfect. So I switch into slave one. Again, I want to switch into slave two as well. Let me, okay, so search hyphen I and the Singapore 3.pim file. Again, EC2 hyphen user @ slave two. I'm trying to log in into all the server. Perfect. So here, okay, so it is slave two, and here you can see slave one and master, right? First, let's try to start the service of Jenkins. I just want to start ps-eaf, right? So pipeline, correct? What are the services which is running? I just want to. So here you can see Jenkins services, it is not running. Okay, so we need to start the service. Service start. Service Jenkins start. Great. So now you can see ps-eaf and So Jenkins service KPS hyphen. Okay. So here you can see Jenkins services, which is running the process ID 3202, right? Okay. So let me try to, access the dashboard of Jenkins. Just copy the public AP and here the port number 8080. So we just created the username and the password. Okay. Okay, admin and admin. So that's our password. Perfect. So so far we install the plugin. Let me cross verify. We just install the slave setup plugin, right? Slave setup plugin. Yes. All right. So we just install slave setup plugin. You just go back to enable the TCP agent. Correct. So when the master and slave, if does want to, make the communication between these two, we need to create a port number. See, if you want to fix the port number, I mean, if you want to whitelist any port number specifically, you can do that, or else, randomly the Jenkins can assign the port number between the range of 0 to 65535. These all are, I would say interview questions. So 65535. Okay, so any port number by default, the master will associate, and using the port number, it could able to talk to, the slave. All right, so we have done the installation of plugin, and we need to, define, I mean, we need to enable the TCP agent. Then we need to create workspace on top of, all the slave, correct? On top of all the slave, we need to create a workspace. Could you, anybody, could you please tell me what is the use case of this workspace? Already I explained. Anybody? So what is the use case of this workspace?
Whatever jobs you have created, everything gets saved under this workspace.
Perfect. So yes, so the master, it's gonna be triggering all the jobs, right? When it's triggering the jobs into the slave, the master should understand where the where should keep the output file. So by default, we do have the workspace on your master, which is go to slash where www. Oh, sorry. I mean library, and here Jenkins, and here you can see workspace. Right, so in this workspace, you can see all the jobs which we built it, job 1, job 2, right? So it is residing at this location, job 1 and job 2. You can see that. So same, we need to create a workspace on top of your a slave. When the master, it's gonna be triggering that job, so it can keep at the particular workspace. So that is again, next step. Already we enabled TCP agent. I hope you know that. Let me show you the dashboard again. Go to manage Jenkins, and here configure system. So here we can, fix the port number. All right. So again, it depends on the security team, which port they are allocating for this particular, handshake. So you can whitelist over here. So yes, here TCP agent, right? So git plugin. Where is that? Go back, go up. Oh, okay. It's not here. Oh, sorry, security. I'm sorry. So go to configure global security. So we can whitelist, right? Perfect. So we enabled already. So it was in disabled, then I enabled random. When I enable random, it's gonna be assigning port number between 0 to 65535. Right, let's see that. So before, before triggering the job, we need to create workspace top of, all the slave. Go back to slave one. So here, let me create, or else let me do one thing. I can create, sorry, I just want to log in into super user, sudo su, right? So I just logged in into super user. Okay, so ideally, we need to use that FTP protocol, sharing that files between all the servers. So that's the reason I don't want to use root user. Let's try to use, super user. So under the super user, I'm just going to creating the directory, make directory -m. I just want to create the directory of 777, which is so I can create slave one. Okay, so slave one path. So now, okay, make directory. Okay, make directory -m. Okay, I have given slash, I'm sorry, slave one. So it's gonna be creating, you can see here, slave one I just created. And now, see this location we can share to master. Okay, so this location we can share to master. Okay, then the master, when it's triggering the job, it's going to be putting at this place itself. Same, let's try to do it for slave 2. I'll just log in into super user. Again, I'm just going to creating the directory which is slave 2. You can see slave 2 or get into instead of slave 2. All right, so this path we can share to the master. So then the master could understand when it's triggering the job, it's going to be putting at this place. And you can see that volume size as well, our volume size, which is 8 GB, right? So your volume size, which is 8 GB. Oh, master, I'm sorry. It's for slave 2. Yes. So we do have 8 GB would be sufficient. All right. So perfect. So now go back to the architecture. We just created a workspace. So this workspace, let's try to add it to the master. Okay, so first we need to add the slave one into the master. It's gonna be providing the token. That token we need to share across, to all the slave. Then it's gonna be providing the secret key for each node. It should be unique. It is not, similar for all the slave. It's gonna be unique. And using by that secret key, we could able to decrypt of your token. In such cases, in such environment, if you have opportunity, you can see that master will be in cloud, rest of slave will be in, on-prem. That kind of, configuration also we can, or all the setup, if you want to build at, cloud platform itself, that is also quite possible. Okay, so right now we are going to do the handshake on top of your cloud itself. Okay, so let me add slave one into the master. Go back to our Jenkins dashboard. Could you please go on mute? All right. Thank you. So I'm just going to add node under the master. Go to, yes, manage node and cloud. Right now, master, which is online. So we need to add 2 more nodes. Let's try to add new node. And here I can see which is slave of 01, the name of your slave one, and it is the default option. We should not skip this option. So I want to keep this mission as a permanent agent. Perfect. So here I can see this, this slave used for a Java application. So I can give that. All right. Somebody, could you please go on mute? Perfect. So this slave one, we just want to reserve for Java application. So now whatever we are discussing, that is declarative pipeline. So already stated, Jenkins, it has two types of pipeline. Remember that one which is declarative, another one scripted. When you go for scripted, multiple agents, multiple script will be there. When you go for declarative, which we are doing, that is declarative pipeline. Scripted pipeline, widely we are not using because lots of agent, lots of dependencies script we need to create for each action. But when you go for declarative, we could able to track, by default, all the setup will be there. You just pick it up and build your pipeline. Depends. All right, still consecutive pipeline will be there. So those are, some additional components will be available over there. So right now we are understanding declarative pipeline. Right, so the probably, the interview, they may ask you how many types of pipeline which is available in Jenkins, or how many types of pipeline which is available in Azure platform. So in Azure, we do have two types of pipeline, one which is build and release pipeline. And on top of Jenkins, we do have two, one which is declarative and scripted pipeline. That's very important. Okay, so probably once if you started to attending the interview, you will feel that the different types of pipeline architecture of the DevOps topology you can. Great. So yes, so number of executor is nothing but in one trigger, how many jobs simultaneously want to build. So I just want to build 10 jobs. More than 10 jobs it should not allow. So 11th job master, if it is pushing into the slave put into the queue. So we are reserving the number of executor. It's not the user, it is belongs to job. If you do have 20 jobs simultaneously, you can able to build 10 jobs. The 11th, 12th, rest of all the jobs it will put into the queue. So why we are reserving this job size, in the sense to achieve your hardware optimization. It should not reach a threshold, so we can achieve threshold. Okay, so here you need to impose your slave workspace. So I just want to copy the slave workspace from this slave one, which is this. I just want to copy, and so when the master it's pushing, triggering the job, it's gonna be keep all the file at this place itself. Right, so now it is connecting. It's taken the value and label for our understanding. So I just want to give slave 01 and use this node as much as possible. That is default option. Launch, yes, this option is very important. See, if all the server which is running on cloud, you can go with the launch agent by connecting into the master. So that is what we are doing. All the slave mission agent is nothing but slave. Okay, so all the nodes we are trying to connecting it to the master. So these are a different, fundamental it is similar, but the way of generating the token is different. So if you go with the way execution of commands, so you can create SSH key gen. You can create your private key. Okay, so you can see here SSH hyphen keygen. If I do this, it's gonna be providing. I just created one token over here. You just go to /SSH SSH. So //.ssh is that, where is that? Where is SSH? Okay, so here you just go to /etc.ss. Okay, where is authorized key? So it's gonna be providing in this location. Okay, so here, oh, I'm into super, I'm sorry, I'm into super user. I should be logging into root user. Now you can see git SSH. Yes, so here it is created with password. So this is, SSH authentication. So see, it is created one key. Through command line, you can generate secret key. So it is again depends on your organization. Okay, so in such cases, they may ask us, to go with SSH key token. So when they say SSH key token, you can create your own key at your server platform itself, and using by this key, we could able to impose to the master. So that is also possible. Again, depends on the organization, depends on your application, right? So if they want to go with SSH, you can use this one or second or third. And fourth one, for Windows, it is on demand. It is not creating the, key. It is, if you want, even if you are triggering, by the time it's gonna be bringing up of your node, rest of the time it will put it to the idle state. So now master is going to generate. I don't want to create manually. Master is going to be creating the secret key. Let's see. And custom working directory, which is nothing but, see, right now we do have the volume size, which is 8 GB, right? And top of 8 GB, all the output file it's going to be reserving. Now the 8 GB, if it is consumed, 99% if it is consumed, we can keep all the data into secondary part. You can create one more volume. Those volume we can attach with, as a secondary. So that is also possible to achieve high availability for your disk size, disk space. So internal data, yes, remotely it is pushing the data. All right, so rest of option, it's not required. And node properties. Node properties is nothing but, what are the tools if you want to install to the agent? You no need to log in into Slave. You can just log in into master, Jenkins. So through master itself, we could able to deploy all the tools. Okay, so right now I don't want to install any tool. I just want to save. So now you can see Slave it, which is in offline. It is not in online. So now you can see we just added slave into the master. Now master, it's gonna be providing token, right? So the token format, oops. So the token, it will be like a .jar file. The token will be, .jar file. So this jar file, first you need to download and save at your local host. Okay, save at your local host. Once if you saved, what are the protocols which is available? File transfer protocol. Anybody? What are the protocols do we have? File transfer protocol.
SCP, WinSCP.
Perfect. So WinSCP is there, and SCP is there. Then FTP is there, right? XFTP is there, right? So these are the protocol using by this we could able to transfer the file. Ideally, WinSCP, you can use Windows to Linux, right? Right. So for Windows, from Windows to Linux, if you want to transfer the data, we can do that. From Linux to Linux, we can use SCP. Now, these are quite basic it's very basic. Where can we use FTP protocol? Right. So let's consider Linux server to Linux. If I want to transfer the data, which protocol? Anybody?
SFTP.
No, SCP, Secure Copy Protocol. Okay. If I do have Windows, from Windows to Windows, which protocol?
Can use WinSCP.
FTP.
Yeah, FTP. WinSCP, it's behind of FTP. WinSCP is a third-party application. All right. So now Linux to Windows, which protocol can be?
WinSCP.
Are you sure? See, again, WinSCP, it's an application. Instead of WinSCP, you do have multiple protocol, but I just want to understand the protocol. Linux to Samba. So again, Windows to Windows. Okay, Windows to Linux, which protocol? Same, we can use vice versa, FTP or XFTP. So these are the protocol. It's pretty simple. We are using, right? Perfect. So now I'm going to use SCP protocol because my Mac, it's based on Linux, right? So I can use SCP. Your server also it is Linux, and my local host also it is Linux based. So I can use SCP protocol, secure copy protocol. So now, once if you saved the jar file at your local host, using by SCP protocol, I'm just going to push the file into, all the slave. Make sense? All right. Any questions? Any questions? If you do have any questions, you just feel free to ask me. I can help you out. All right. So let's try to download the jar file. Just go back to master, go to the target slave. Yes, see here, you need to download that agent, and this agent, if you want to, decrypt, it is a secret key. See, they stated, if you want to decrypt the jar file, you just use this secret key. So let's try to download the jar file. It's trying to downloading. Okay, so this jar file, I just want to save. I just want to save at the key per location because I'm just going to use SCP. So let me put it in the key per location. All right. Let me log in into local terminal. Yeah. So I just want to go with some different colors, so I should not get confused. All right. Okay, so now I'm into this local host. You can see jar file, which is here. See, so this jar file, where is that terminal? Yes. Okay, so these are the server. I just want to push the jar file into slave 1 and slave 2. So right now the jar file, which is at my local host, using by SCP protocol, I'm just going to copy the file. So who all are using Windows, I will share WinSCP steps, which is WinSCP. Okay, WinSCP steps. It's very simple. Okay, you can use WinSCP. Yes. So let me share this steps over the drive. Okay, you just follow color using Windows. Using by this WinSCP, you can transfer the file. It's very simple. You can, I mean, the SOP documents will guide you. So at this point, I'm just going to use SCP. So SCP syntax, SCP-I, and your source file. Yes. So I just want to keep your source file, which is agent. Yeah, perfect. So this file we want to copy from localhost into the slave one, and I need the key pair, which is Singapore 3.pem file. Okay, so it is my source file, it is my authentication, I mean the key pair, and I can use the username ec2-user at the rate of the slave one IP. I'm just copying the slave one public IP. Okay, yes, slave one public IP. I just want to keep under the temp location. So now it's okay, permission denied. Interesting. Oh, okay, got it. So now the jar file, it is not allowing. Great, great. So I just want to give the privilege for agent jar. Now I can use SCP. Permission denied. SCP-. The private key will be ignored for, oh, okay, got it. So syntax is wrong. I'm sorry. So here, yes, first I should give a key pair. So key pair. So then I need to paste your source. That's a syntax. Okay, so I'm just trying to, yes, perfect. So now you can see the file, it is pushed. Perfect. So there is no, error. You just go back to slave one. I just pushed into, the temp location. I just want to log out, log in into, yes, so get into temp location here. Yes, you can see. So the file, it is copied from my local host into Cloud Mission. All right. So now this agent jar, let's try to, move into that workspace which we created. I mean, all the output files, we just created the centralized place, right? So let's try to move this file from here to there. Okay, so I'm just going to use, or you can use copy command as well, agent jar. I just want to move to /ec2 home. Okay, and here slave ec2, and here a slave. Perfect. So in this location, I just want to move all the file. Let's try to it. Oops. Okay. So let me get it instead of slave one. Here you can. Oh. So this file, I just, okay, I'm sorry. To log out. So get into super user. Now you can go to home. Okay, home location, slave. So not required. Directly we can go to slave 2 here. It is not copied. /home /ec2 /save. In this location we copied, right? It is not popping.
We copied temp, right?
Already I'm into this temp. From the temp I'm copying into the workspace. Okay. No, what it is doing in the sense, we just created one more slave under the root, so it's copying into that location. 1 second. Okay. Slave. Yeah. See here, here. Oh, here also it is not pushed.
And we see if the directory existed, home EC2 user.
Yes, but by this, when we were creating, I did the forward slash before the directory name, so it is created over here as well. Let me delete. Okay, so now I can go to temp directory. I can copy the file cp agent jar and slash home ec2 hyphen user here. Perfect. Yes. Okay, now I just want to log out. So let me log into super user here. Slave to get into slave 2. Yes, you got it. What it happened? It's created duplicate. I mean, um, two slave was there under the root user and the slave. So when I was trying to use cp, it was getting conflict. So that's the reason the file it did not copy into any location. So now I just deleted. Now we could able to see the file. Make sense? So same, let's try to do it for slave 2 as well. Again, in terms of using slave 1, I just want to use slave 2 IP. Just go back and copy this IP. Oh, okay. Paste and let's try to copy into this location of home slash ec2 hyphen user slash slave 2 directory. Correct? Is it correct? What? Perfect. So in this location, I just want to copy. Let's see. Perfect. So now you can see the file is copied. Make sense? See, why did I use temp in the sense, and sometimes if don't have privilege or, copying into the directory, we can use temp. Any questions so far? So what we have done in the sense, we just downloaded the jar file and those jar file we saved at your local host. From the local host, I just copied the jar file into all the slave using by SCP protocol.
Karthik,
Yes.
jar files for both the slaves. Like how many slaves will be there? It will be similar for all the slaves.
Yes. So yeah, so jar file will be centralized for all the slave, but the secret value will be unique.
Okay, you mean to say the key pair will differ.
Yes, this key is there, right? So it will be
Yeah.
unique. So using by this key, you can able to decrypt only for slave 1.
Yeah, that's what.
All right. So when you go for slave 2, again, you need to create new key. I mean, secret key.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Perfect. So now let's try to connect this slave into master using by this key. You can see that IP is 13.250.172, but that is not the master IP. It is 18. I need to change that. Okay, we need to change this. Let me go back to master. I'm sorry, slave 1. Just going to paste. Here we need to change your IP. So our IP, see, it is 13. Is not your master IP. Your master IP is 18. Let me copy the master IP 18. Just paste. Let's try to connect. It's trying to connecting with the master. Oh, okay, it's throwing error. Both error lobs. Okay, then locating server MO. Why it is searching to connect with the 13. Your IP is 18. It did not connect. It's thrown, failed to connect. Interesting. 13.250. Okay, TCP slave agent connection timed out. Oh, okay. So it's not able to connecting with that endpoints. I mean, okay, got it. So you just come back here. You can see on a configuration file. You just go back to the dashboard. Go back to manage Jenkins. So here, what it is telling, it's telling I failed to connect to this URL to the TCP agent slave listener. Okay, got it. So go back to, again, I need to go back to global security. No. Configure system. See, it is not listening. The listener. It is not 13 dot, right? It is 18 dot. Makes sense. Let's see. I just want to change this IP 18. Go back here. Let me change. Okay. Let me save. Perfect. So let's see the output. Yes. Perfect. So now you can see it is listening. It is connected. Makes sense. So previously failed to connect. Now you can see it is connected. All right, see here, agent address. And you can see that port number 34295. So using by 34295, master and slave, it is communicating between each other. Okay, great. So I just want to go back, manage Jenkins. Here, manage nodes. Perfect. So you can see that slave, it is in online. You can see here. So any jobs, if you want to build, I can able to build on slave. Let's try to, okay, I need to reserve. How can we reserve in the sense? So the job to whenever, if you want to trigger, you can reserve, it's gonna be trigger on slave two, I mean slave one. So whenever if you want to trigger the job two, it's gonna be built on slave one. How can we reserve in the sense? Go to configure. Here you can see the option which is this one, restrict where. You can see restrict where this project can be run. So here I can choose your label value, then apply, save. Let me try to build. Could you please go on mute, Sharath? Okay. I just built it. Perfect. See, you can see. Makes sense. So let's try to connect slave 2 as well. Go back to, are you getting? See, have you seen that build where it happened? See here, build remotely on slave 1, and it's keeping all the output file in this space. Makes sense. And you can see the logs as well. Go back to master. What is the logs location? Logs location / temp audit trail is running. Okay, so now you can see the logs location, which is, this is the one, right? I just want to see logs, does it is capturing. Perfect, it is captured. You can see that. Let me trigger 1 second. Okay, so okay, just want to go back to job 2. See, I'm trying to build. See, logs is capturing. So again, you can see it is built on slave 1. Make sense? Okay, let's try to connect slave 2 as well. Okay, so go back to the dashboard and here manage Jenkins again. Go back to nodes. So I just want to add one more node, which is slave 02. Do you want to copy any, package from existing slave? You can. So at this point, no, it is used for, just want to give Java application, and here I can give the number of executor, which is 5, then paste your workspace. Okay, let me put it over here. So what is your workspace? This is the one, AWT. So in this workspace, I just want to keep all the, output file, label, I can give slave 02, and rest of will be similar. Perfect. So slave 2, it is offline. Again, I can copy that key. So now it is changed. Okay, because we have done the changes with your configuration file. So let's try to trigger. So yeah, slave 2 also it is connected. Just go back. You can see master and slave, it is online. Make sense? Do you have any questions how to configure master slave topology? Now, if you do have any questions, please go ahead with your question. Any questions? Perfect. All right. So so now we have done the master slave, configuration. Okay. So next, what we have to do, we just configure master. Okay. Next, we need to create the pipeline. That's very important, right? So let's try to build the CI/CD pipeline. See, any questions if you do have before understanding pipeline, please go ahead. If you don't have pipeline, doubt, then I can kickstart the CI/CD pipeline topics.
Karthik, now when like a master, slave one, slave two, like all three are online. So when we run jobs, like which this one it will be running, on which server it will be running.
Yeah, you can reserve. So you can reserve when for each job you need to reserve. Whenever if you want to build, you can go under reserve. So ideally, in real time, how the request, how will it come in the sense, they used to mention, so this is our pipeline, so please reserve one node for this pipeline. It is our job, please reserve any one of the node for the particular job. So like this, you can slave 02. This is what your question, right? How can we reserve? Yeah.
Yeah, but like see for now, like all three are online, right? So when we are going to trigger some job, so which will actually take that job?
Oh, if you're not reserving, you are asking, right?
Yeah.
If you're not reserving in the sense, first traffic will goes to slave 1, second traffic will goes to slave 2 randomly. That decision which it is, taken by master. So, but it is not best practice in real time. Always you need to go with the reservation. Reservation is very important.
Okay.
Randomly, if you're allowing master to deploy in the sense, so there is a chance, slave 1 hardware might be consumed. Any pipeline may consume the hardware from the slave 1. So there is a chance may goes down. So once if you reserved, then we could able to fetch the output easily, we could able to fetch the output, then you can achieve the high availability as well. So ideally, I would say we always we need to go for the reservation. Got it?
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So next, let's try to understand CI/CD pipeline. Yeah.
Karthik, you have said right, like we should use SCP protocol for Linux to Linux. But if I'm using Windows machine now, should I use like FTP or like what?
WinSCP. WinSCP.
No,
Yes.
in Jenkins, I should download WinSCP and then only I can merge that slave or like.
Yes, you are right. So let me share the steps. All are using Windows, right? So just follow these steps. It's very simple. Okay, hardly 2 or 3 steps will be there. Transfer the file. So I just shared.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. Okay. Let's try to understand CI/CD pipeline. So this CI/CD pipeline, it has 4 categories. Okay. So one which is, I would say, poll SCM. These all are interview question. Tell me the use case of poll SCM. Tell me the use case of timer, right? And third one, which is pipeline. And fourth one, which is webhook. Yeah. So we do have 4 components to build your CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so timer and pipeline. All right. Perfect. So now we are talking about declarative, right? So declarative. Yeah. Okay, so you can see declarative pipeline. See here, declarative and scripted pipeline. So declarative pipeline is a relatively new feature that support pipeline as code concept. Okay, it makes pipeline code easier to read and write. But when you go for scripted, so it is a traditional way of writing. That is what I was telling. When you go for scripted pipeline, you need to write it down Jenkins file. In this Jenkins file, I can say stage 1, you have to do this, stage 2, do this, stage 3, do this. I'll show you Jenkins file. Okay, so how to write it down Jenkins file, especially for, see, this is the one. You can see stage 1 build, stage 2 test, stage 3 deploy. So it is going to understand only, the script which we return. And for each stages, there is some, we need to install the agent plugin as well. So ideally, we just predicted what are the sequence we need to follow for this application, right?
The best practice to follow.
No, see, again, depends, I would say. So that is what clearly they stated. When you go, see, if you want to write it on the Jenkins file, we need developer support. Okay, we are not able to, if you know Node.js or Groovy script, sorry, not Node.js. If you know Groovy script, yes, it will be quite easy. But if I'm not aware of Groovy script, in the sense, you cannot able to go with the scripted pipeline, right? But yes, industry level, again, depends on that, application. They used to prefer any one of this pipeline. See, what would be the advantage, I can tell you. Okay, when you go for scripted pipeline. So when you go for scripted pipeline, you can create one centralized, you can create one centralized Jenkins file. So based on your application, change the parameter, in real time, when you go for scripted pipeline, so you do have Jenkins file, okay, which is on master. Now I have application one. This application I want to deploy on top of scripted pipeline. I can create one branch from the master. These all are in GitHub. I can create one branch, from the master. So then accordingly, my application, I can change, the stages over here. Once if I done, then I can push back into master. When I'm pushing back into master, I need to create one directory for this application. Instead of this directory, I can keep your application along with your Jenkins file. When the Jenkins file it's triggering, I can give this path. Getting me point? Are you getting? Are you getting confused? Is it audible? Hello.
Yeah, it's audible.
Yeah, are you getting, guys? Or who asked me a question?
Yeah, it's understand.
No, I did not complete. See here, when you go for scripted pipelines, how in real time it's happening, we do have the centralized place where we can keep the Jenkins file that would be considered master. Okay, I have 10 application. So for each application, I want to build the pipeline. So I don't want to do manual job. I can create one branch from the master. You should not touch the, you should not do any changes with your Jenkins file, right? So that's the reason, we just kept all the Jenkins file on master. So I can create one branch and you can pass the parameter instead of this branch using the Jenkins file. For this application, you can define the stages, merge back into the master instead of one directory. Jenkins server will be there. So Jenkins server, in the Jenkins server, you can keep this path. When it is pulling, it's gonna be checking the directory instead of the directory. We do have the Jenkins file, so we need to install plugin over here to understand the Jenkins file. Okay, so then it will understand. It's gonna be reading the Jenkins file. Jenkins file, it has all the stages, so it's going to be started all the stages. So that is, I would say a scripted pipeline. When you go for declarative pipeline, it's quite easy for our understanding. We can do for each, for each application, you have to do manual job. So industry level, most of the cases which they are preferring, yes, they used to go with, scripted pipeline. Okay. So here you can see any image as well. Perfect. So this is the scripted pipeline. See the differ. Is it making sense? See, declarative in the sense, all the action, I need to do performance over here. But when you go for scripted, you just define. And in which location, if you want to define, you just define. It's gonna be pulling. This is a scripted pipeline. So, okay, declarative and scripted pipeline, fully future programmer. Yeah, this word is very important. Okay, but here you can see simpler, more syntax for allows validation, visual editors limit. Still, I'm just checking the proper docs. Jenkins file, this is declarative file. So you can do first stage 1, stage 2, do this stage. So you need to define all this category. But when you go for scripted pipeline, nothing. So this is completely, you can define the condition. Do this, do that. Okay. I do have some documents. I will share that. I'm not sure where I kept. No worries. So that's major differ. Okay. When you go for, so now let's try to understand, I mean, go back to the architecture. Let's try to understand declarative pipeline. Okay, I don't have Jenkins pipeline. I do have, but it's quite complicated. I'm not sure. Are you able to understand? It's completely based on Groovy. I will show you Jenkins file I have written. It is for CD pipeline script, and for this is the one. Yes. So here I just define the pipeline script. Okay, here you can see it is declared. Sorry, it is scripted pipeline. Yes, it is scripted pipeline. So in real time, you can see that the script will be like this. Again, in such cases, we are going to write from the scratch, but most of the cases I would say which is available over the online, you just pull that and do the changes based on your requirement and deploy it to the pipeline. So that is what most of the organization they are doing. Okay, so which is available, but the prerequisites you should know Groovy script. So then you can understand the I mean Jenkins file. So using by Jenkins file, we can do automation for CI pipeline. Using by Dingy file, we can do automation for CD. I mean, continuous delivery, not continuous deployment, continuous delivery. We can do the automation if you're using SonarQube, Octobus, right? So using that, this we can do. All right. So yes, let's try to understand how can we build the CI/CD pipeline on top of Jenkins. Okay, we'll see on tomorrow, but before that, please try to do hands-on. Okay, so then only you will get some idea. I'm not going to use slave 1 and slave 2, so not required, because master would be sufficient at this point. For your understanding perspective, I showed you how to do the configuration of master and slave. Okay, so due to cost effect, I am just going to terminate this 2 slave. So what are the jobs which I'm going to build, right? So let's try to build on master. All right. Any questions? Cool then. All right, we'll meet up on tomorrow. Thank you all. Bye-bye.